Welcome to Part 2 of Section 2 on Facilities and Housing. Now for indoor housing standards. Across Canada, horses are housed indoors for multiple reasons. In areas where access to pasture is not available, such as within city or town limits, the use of boarding stables is a necessity. Racetracks manage their horses in stable settings for multiple reasons. And some climates require indoor housing for at least part of the year, dependent on stage of production, age of horse, or medical conditions. Regardless of the reason for housing of indoor horses, the code requires that all facilities must be designed and maintained to minimize risk of injury to the horses. Horse welfare should always be the priority when constructing or renovating facilities. The main considerations with indoor housing are the safety and comfort of horses, ease of access, adequate drainage, and ventilation. If poorly designed or managed, stabling can contribute to the spread of disease and the risk of injury. Key recommendations when building or renovating a facility is to design it so the horses are able to see, hear, and smell other horses. Horses are herd animals, and contact with other horses is very important to their security and social needs. You should inspect facilities regularly to ensure they are safe and in good working order. There should be no sharp corners or projections that can hurt the horse where they are housed or worked. All areas should be free of any dangerous objects that can injure or endanger the animals. Facilities need to be designed so that they can be easily cleaned and disinfected. When building new facilities, consider factors such as drainage and manure removal when determining where on the farm to place the facilities. Each horse must have enough space to lie down in a normal resting posture, stand with their head fully raised, walk forward and turn around with ease, and there must be sufficient space for a subordinate horse to escape aggression. The same space allowance per animal as covered in outdoor housing applies to indoor housing, which is 2 to 2.5 times the height of the horse at the withers squared. Ceiling height is important for horse comfort, safety, and ventilation. Housing should have a minimum clearance space of 61 centimeters, but ideally in excess of 1 meter above the horse's head height when standing. Alleyways should be at least 3 meters wide to allow a horse to turn around comfortably. Doorways used by horses should be at least 1.22 meters wide and at least 30.5 centimeters above head height when the horse is in a normal standing posture to allow for easy passage. Doorways that may need to accommodate 2 horses at once should be twice this width. Lighting is important for normal reproduction, seasonal endocrine rhythms, and seasonal adaptation, such as hair coat. And horses, especially foals, should be provided with a period of darkness to encourage sleeping. For this reason, horses kept indoors without natural light must be provided artificial lighting during the day. Keeping horses in continuous darkness is not acceptable. Lighting in indoor facilities should provide uniform illumination, allowing for easy observation of horses, while ensuring the light fixtures are safe and not accessible to the horses. The ground or flooring in stalls and alleyways should be well drained and must provide non-slip surfaces to reduce the risk of horses slipping or falling. Examples of non-slip surfaces include sand, dirt, rough-cut planked floors, rubber mats, and stamped or grooved concrete. For shod horses, the addition of rubber mats or epoxy flooring to concrete helps avoid slipping and falling. Ideally, stall flooring will be reasonably level, but designed to move excess moisture away from horses, preventing pooling of water and urine. As an example, a slight slope that allows urine or spilled water to run out to the drains in the alley. Soft ground surfaces, like sand or earth, should be routinely maintained by leveling out any holes. Any areas that pool liquids should be alleviated to prevent the creation of mud in the stalling areas. The code requires that caregivers ensure stalls are kept clean and horses must be provided with a dry lying area. The area must be of a design or texture that will not bruise, cut, or otherwise injure the horse. Concrete or hard rubber mats without bedding are not acceptable surfaces. Well-managed bedding provides comfort, warmth, dryness, traction, and protection against abrasions to horses. Horses prefer to lie down in bedded areas in the stalls, so providing ample, clean bedding helps ensure horses get enough rest, which is important for their well-being, attitude, and performance. Examples of bedding include straw, shavings, shredded paper, and peat moss. Each type of bedding has advantages and disadvantages in regard to absorbency, air quality as it relates to dust, and horse comfort. As an example, research has shown that horses spend more time laying in recumbent position or flat out on their side when bedded with straw instead of pellets or wood shavings. No matter which bedding you choose, it must be as dust-free as possible and non-toxic. When bedding stalls, make sure there is enough bedding to absorb urine and encourage the horse to lie down. Remove wet and soiled bedding at least once a day. In deep bedded systems, make sure to add clean, dry bedding daily. When stalls have rubber mats in them, make sure you provide disposable bedding on top of stall mats to help absorb urine. It will also provide extra cushioning for the horse. Where possible, remove horses from the building when cleaning stalls and allow airborne particles to settle before letting the horses re-enter the stalls. All horse owners should strive to maintain good indoor air quality at all times. Respiratory problems can be created or made worse by poor bedding practices and poor indoor air quality. The concentration of ammonia and airborne particles, such as dust and mold, are of particular concern. The concentration of fungal spores, which is the main component of dust in stables, is determined by the rate of release from feed and bedding, and the rate of clearance, mainly by ventilation. Keeping facilities and bedding clean will help you maintain good indoor air quality. Excessive ammonia concentrations can pose a health threat to both animals and humans. The concentration of ammonia should ideally be less than 10 parts per million and must not exceed 25 parts per million. When a person can detect ammonia by smell or irritation to the eyes, it is likely to be a concentrate of 20 parts per million or higher. There are also several tools for measuring ammonia concentration, including litmus paper, detection tubes, and electronic devices. A good ventilation system will remove stale air, maintain ideal ambient temperature, and bring in fresh air without causing drafts, especially at horse level. It will also remove excess heat and moisture, including a horse's respiration, which is a major factor in mold development. The code requires that air quality in barns be maintained to prevent the buildup of noxious gases, dust and moisture, and that ventilation must effectively maintain good indoor air quality, including that the concentration of ammonia in the air must not exceed 25 parts per million. And the final section is going to cover safety and emergencies. From fires to floods, poisoning to tornadoes, part of horse ownership is being prepared to respond to on-farm emergencies. Preparedness may not always be able to prevent an on-farm emergency, but if something does happen, by being prepared, you will be able to reduce the risk of injury or death to the animals in your care. The first part of preparedness is actually prevention. As the age-old adage says, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Poisoning is one of the more common causes of illness and death on farm. Some examples of common on-farm toxins include, but are not limited to, old batteries, paints, oils, and contaminated water. Serious health consequences can result from ingestion of the material up to and including death. The code addresses this by requiring that all toxic material must be securely stored in a manner that horses are unable to gain access to them. Toxic plants such as ragwort, rhododendrons, or foxglove are often the biggest threat to horses. Make sure you are aware of what plants are found in your area and what they look like, so you are able to identify and remove them. A comprehensive list of toxic plants can be found on the code resource page of the training website. Consult your local fire department for specific advice on fire prevention. This is also a good time to make sure they are aware of your location based on your premises ID or legal land location, and that you have horses on your property. Fire prevention must be part of all facility design considerations. Barns, stalls, and even paddocks should be built or renovated to allow for the rapid removal of horses. Examples would be having doors that lead to a secure, fenced runway where horses can be released, or by having exterior doors on each stall leading to paddocks rather than having to halter each horse. Have fire extinguishers located at various points in any facility that are easily accessible, and ensure staff know of their location and how to use them. When placing them, make sure they are not in an area where a fire will prevent you from safely accessing them. Store all combustibles far away from the barn and the horses. Combustibles include fuels, paints, paint thinners, and manure piles. Piles of manure, straw, and shavings can self-heat and start on fire. They should never be stored up next to a barn or housing facilities and should be cleared out frequently before heating can begin. Hay and straw can also spontaneously combust, especially if it is too wet when baled and stacked. Small rectangular bales should not exceed 18 to 22% moisture, and large round bales 16 to 18% for safe storage. Owners should check their stacks for heating regularly. If you detect a slight caramel odor or a distinct musty smell, chances are your hay is heating. Use only non-toxic paints or wood preservatives on any place where a horse may chew or lick such as fences or stall doors. Ensure stalls and equipment have quick release mechanisms so horses can be easily untied and stall doors or gates quickly opened. There should be a place to hang a halter and lead rope at each stall front to facilitate the rapid removal of horses. For horses in pasture or paddocks, halters and leads should be kept in an area that is easily accessible and not likely to be blocked during an emergency. You should maintain a perimeter fence around all the property to prevent horses from leaving the property if they get loose from a stall, arena, or paddock. The code requires the development of an action plan for all emergencies that may occur in your area. This includes weather-related, fires, floods, industry, disease, or health emergencies. Make sure that your emergency action plan includes evacuation procedures for your farm and animals and all emergency contacts. There are numerous references available for emergency planning on the resource page of this website, through internet searches, and through the provincial industry groups and government websites. You can also reach out to your local fire authorities, and they can perform a site visit to review your emergency preparedness plan. Once your plan is established, it is your responsibility to have all information posted and making sure that all family members, staff, and clients are aware of what your plan is and where emergency equipment, such as fire extinguishers, are located. As previously stated, there are numerous resources available to educate yourself on emergency preparedness. Taking the time to familiarize yourself with them and creating a plan will decrease the risk of loss to you, your business, and your animals. You have now reached the end of this section of the Equine Code of Practice training series. Please click the button below to return to the main Equine Code of Practice training page.